I have two sons, Phil and Jack. My son Phil was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when he was 7 months old. That happened because doctors were telling me all week long that he was not sick, and on the weekend I thought my son's dying, and I took him to the emergency room at TMH. He was diagnosed that night with juvenile diabetes, which is now type 1 diabetes, and our lives changed that minute. My son ended up to be my inspiration because I was depressed because my son had an incurable disease and found myself in a closet shoving potato chips down my mouth. When I had my hand halfway up to my mouth, I realized that I could not eat like that because my son, by virtue of having type 1 diabetes, was already prone to heart disease, stroke, kidney disease, blindness. He has to have insulin every day of his life, so I would nurse him and give him insulin injections. And I also got involved in everything I could throughout the state of Florida to try to find a cure for type 1 diabetes. As I progressed through life, I became an exercise instructor because I could see that movement helped my son tremendously with his blood glucose control, and it also helped me, with depression, and it made me feel good. And then we both ended up on a path to inspire, educate, and empower people. I did it through exercise in Tallahassee, through thousands of people who've been through my class. My son went on to form, after he graduated from the University of Georgia, an all-professional cycling team of type 1 diabetics. The first thing he did was put together this team, and they raced from San Diego, California to Atlantic City, New Jersey. It was 3,500 miles in 5 days, and they won over the normal people. From that, he took that and springboarded into a global outreach community for people with type 1 diabetes, with a huge team of all type 1 athletics and pro cyclists, and they are from all over the world, and they travel all over the world to try to, again, instill into people that with education and constant insulin, they all have to have insulin, they can lead a good life. So out of my life and how it's progressed, what I would take from it is be bold. Had I not been bold when my infant son was in my arms dying, and not listened to the doctors and taken him to TMH, and he was diagnosed, none of this would have happened. And the other thing is, like, years later, I was at a table at a JDRF fundraiser, and a gentleman asked me if I wanted to do a 100-mile ride in Death Valley, California. And my son said to me, "Mom, you're too old. Do Amelia," because Amelia's flat. And I signed up for Amelia and Death Valley and did them both. And so since then, for multiple years, I've been doing 100-mile rides to raise money for a cure for type 1 diabetes, not only for my son, but for everybody who has to deal with this 24/7, always on a diet. You have to have insulin to live disease. So be bold. If you feel something's wrong, stand up for your rights, or my son would have been dead. The other thing is, ask for help. When you're dealing with a chronic illness, you have to ask for help. You can't do it all by yourself. And then the third thing is, when somebody tells you you're too old, don't believe them, because you just have to work harder. That's all. A little more practice. So be bold and carry on.